Now, in 2 decades on, Russian President Vladimir Putin is still a formidable player in global politics. But has he lost some ground at home? And is the Kremlin looking for ways to let Putin stay on in power? Well, the Speaker of Russia's legislature has raised the possibility of changing the constitution as speculation grows that Kremlin is considering ways to allow President Putin to remain in power well beyond the end of his current tenure. Putin's current term ends in 2024. The constitution requires him to step down after that. The constitution was drafted 25 years ago. Kremlin's tight control of political system would make it easy to approve changes to the constitution. When Putin was elected to his present 6-year term, he had indicated that he had no intention of changing the constitution, but speculation over the possibility of amendments continues. Earlier this month, Putin said that the constitution is not some fossilized legal construct, but a living, developing organism. Political analysts and government insiders have been discussing the possibility of constitutional change for months now as the focus is on the end of Putin's term grows. Putin, now 66 years old, has ruled Russia virtually unchallenged for the last 18 years. A number of significant changes have been made over the past 25 years, including increasing the presidential term from 4 to 6 years, while that of Duma, or the legislature in parliament, has also grown to 5 years. And other important changes included uniting the Supreme and arbitration courts, appointing presidential senators, and revising the list of federal subjects. The possibilities that now emerge are to elevate an advisory body called the State Council to become the supreme authority, with Putin as the head. This, if he does not become the president again, then the presidency would be stripped of many powers, and the advisory council under Putin would be the final authority. And joining us to talk a little bit more about this is Lucy Taylor, who joins us from Moscow. And Lucy, thanks for talking to us this evening. Now, how credible are these reports, the speculation that the constitution in Russia may be tweaked to keep President Putin in power for as long as he wants?
Well, this is all just speculation at the moment. It comes from a meeting between senior politicians. The Kremlin released the details and the opening comments from that meeting. President Vladimir Putin was present, but it wasn't him who said this. It was as you were saying, the Speaker of the State Duma, which is the lower house of parliament, who raised the question of the constitution. He said it's been 25 years now exactly since the constitution was first written in Russia, and he said there were questions, or there may be questions, about the norms and provisions of the constitution, about how effective they still are, about whether they're still relevant today. And he proposed the possibility of bringing together constitutional judges, scholars and experts to discuss questions going forward and see if any changes needed to be made. Now, he didn't mention presidential term limits in particular, but that's what a lot of the speculation has centred around, because that's something that there has been speculation about for months now, ever since Vladimir Putin won the previous election in March. He's got another 6 years in power from that date. But he is now approaching, this should be, according to the Constitution, his final term in power. He will have to pass on to the next person under the current Constitution. So that question of succession is one that many people are discussing. And even for this to be raised, even though it wasn't by the president himself, has had a lot of people here questioning whether this is now on the cards, whether there will be an attempt to try to change the Constitution to allow him to stay on for longer in power. But we haven't had any reaction from President Vladimir Putin. No reaction from him was listed in those opening comments which the Kremlin released. What we have heard is from his spokesman, who said it is not the position for now, and there are no plans to go ahead with this for now.
No plans to go ahead with this for now. Lucy Taylor, thanks very much indeed for joining us.